Hi y'all, welcome back. This week we went to Mountainview Blueberry Farm. It's located in Snohomish Valley. It is actually down the street from Bailey's Vegetable Farm. If you guys haven't watched that farm video, I'll put an eye right here so you can watch it. They have a lot of different varieties of blueberries, and they pick different ones throughout the season, and the best way is to check their Facebook page, and they give daily updates to time and what they're picking. All of the U-Pick farms right now in Washington are extremely crowded, so make sure you're ready. Try to get there early, bring your mask or you'll not be allowed to pick. They have a lot of safety measurements in place, which didn't make for great camera footage, but it kept everybody safe. You got to go in a certain way, go out a certain way, only pick on certain parts of each row so we stay away from other people. They're really great systems, really well thought out. The blueberries tasted really good, so you guys need to go check them out. And it is a really beautiful blueberry farm. They have acres and acres of several varieties of blueberries. And today, my son is going to teach you how to make these delicious lemon blueberry scones. I hope you enjoy it.
Thanks, Mom, for that intro. So the first thing you're going to want to do is set your oven to 400 degrees so that it's prepped and ready, and when we get around to it, the oven will be hot. Then you're going to want to get your ingredients together, which mine are around here somewhere. Oh, there we go. Alright, so first thing you're going to need is 2 cups of all-purpose white flour. And add that white flour to the bowl. There you go. And then you're also going to need a 1/3 cup of white sugar. There you go. You add that to the bowl. Then you're going to need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You're also going to need 2 teaspoons of baking powder, but definitely make sure that it's baking powder. You're going to use baking powder and baking soda, but this is 2 teaspoons of baking powder. If you use the wrong one, it's not going to turn out right. And then we're going to need 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Again, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. Really, guys, you do not want to mess this up. It's going to turn out weird. Okay, now you're going to take this and you're going to set it aside, and we're going to start prepping the wet ingredients. But before that, we're going to need to cut in some butter. So we're going to take this butter and make sure you need a 1/2 cup of cold butter. We're going to cube it. Hang on, let me go get a knife real quick. Be right back. Alright, you got a knife, and alright, that's done. Now that your butter's all cubed up, you're going to add it to the bowl, and you're going to want to dump it all in the bowl. So let me grab something to cut it in with. Oh, that looks a bit broken. Okay, well, just mix it all around, and once it's all stirred up and you think it's thoroughly combined, you're going to dump your butter in there and make sure it all kind of breaks apart. You can either use your fingers or use a butter cutter inner tool, or that's what I'm going to call it. Butter cutter inner tool. And once it's all cut in, we want it to be around the size of peas. So, and the reason why is when it bakes, it gets nice and flaky, and the way it gets flaky is this butter inside has layers of butter, and when it melts, it all just kind of flakes and gets you that really nice flaky scone. And it always turns out better if you can get them to the size around peas. And if it's not working, just go ahead and grab a fork, because I think I've broken this tool too many times, and well, it's broken. So I'm going to use a fork and just cut it in, and again, trying to get them to the size of about peas. You can use fork, you can use technically any kind of utensil if you want, but the whole reason we're using a utensil and not our hands is we want that butter to stay cold, because if it melts before we put it in the oven, it's not going to get that nice flaky consistency for the scones. Okay, now that that's put together, we're going to clean the board off and get some of the flour off, because we don't want a huge mess. And then we're gonna need to take 1 lemon, and we're gonna need the zest of 1 lemon. So let me just, all right, cool. Now that I have that, I'm gonna take the zest of that lemon and we're gonna add it to the bowl, and then we're gonna mix it all together. But before we do that, we need to add in our 1 cup of blueberries. There's some very beautiful blueberries. Alright, now, come on camera, focus. Nice. Now that we've added them to the bowl, we're going to gently fold in the blueberries and the lemon. We want to be extra careful as to not pop any of the blueberries. Make sure you're using either a spatula or a spoon or something, and if you're using something metal, be very careful not to pop them. You do not want all your blueberries to be blueberry mush. Hang on, there's a little, there you go. Okay, so you sit there and fold it, and you're going to keep folding it in until all of the blueberries are covered in the dry mixture, so that when we add the wet ingredients later, all the blueberries are incorporated correctly and they don't just sink or float. Okay, now that we have that all folded together, let's start on our wet ingredients. We're going to need a bowl. To that bowl, we're going to add a 1/2 cup of heavy whipping cream, or heavy cream, sorry. And to that, we're going to add 1 large egg, which, don't break it, and yes, nice. I didn't destroy the egg. And to this, we're also going to need some lemon juice, which is why I set aside that lemon from earlier. And we're going to take that lemon and we're just going to... Awesome. Look at that amazing strength. I've just juiced that thing. It's awesome. Alright, now we're going to add that to the bowl. And we're going to want to whisk it all together until it's about 1 equal color. So the reason why we're doing this in 2 parts too is if you were to just add this all to the bowl, things would be mixed incorrectly. Some parts would start to get all gluteny and start stretching, and it just wouldn't turn out right. So definitely doing this 2-part is the way to go. And that was a dirty fork, so let me get a clean one real quick. Alright, now that we're whisking it together, just make sure you keep whisking it until the egg is combined in with everything, and it all becomes this kind of tan yellow color. Make sure it's all completely whisked together. Alright, now that it's whisked together, we're going to make a small divot in the center, kind of like a well, just for all the liquid to go. And once we made that well, we're going to add our mixture. Just kind of dump it in there. And make sure if there's any big pieces of butter still, break them up with your fingers. You want them to be around pea size. If they're a little big, it's okay. It's not going to kill it. Alright, now that we've added it in, we're going to stir it together. Either you want to fold it together or stir it together, but just enough till it's just starting to come together. You really want to be careful that you don't overmix it at this point. So just kind of when it's starting to come together, just stop and step away. So once it's starting to clump up like it is now, we'll need to prep an area. So let me just set that aside and move those out of the way. Oh, there's just a little bit left in the bowl. Hang on, let me get that out. And I'll just fold it together. And again, you want to be very careful you don't pop any of the blueberries, because popping the blueberries, it's not going to taste good, and you won't have those big blueberries in the center like a regular lemon blueberry scone. Alright, now that it's starting to come together, you can kind of see it's turning into like big bits of dough. And just kind of fold it together. I think I maybe undermixed a little bit because I had to do a little bit more folding or later, but I think it's good. Alright, so now we're going to transfer this to a well-floured surface, and we're going to want to be ready. Maybe have your hands run over some cold water or something, because you don't want the butter to melt on you. So we're going to dump this out, and there goes the blueberries. And after you dump it out, you just want to make sure you get everything together. So let me run after and get those blueberries that ran away. There we go. Now, once you got this all together, you're going to want to start slowly pushing and kneading it together. You're going to want to get it to be one big ball of dough. And you'll know when it starts coming together because you see how right now you can see the flour coming out of the sides and it's just kind of not sticking. And so you're going to want to keep kneading it until it just becomes one big dough ball. This is going to be messy, so be sure whatever you're wearing, you're fine with being covered in flour. But it's a lot of fun. It's definitely something I would say you could do with kids because there's a lot of this that you can just say, hey, do you want to just keep kneading this for me? And they'll just have fun. And it's always a blast to do it with others and share this experience with other people. So yeah, I would say give it a shot, do it with some family. So just keep kneading it together and see how it's starting to become kind of like a dough ball. That's what we're looking for. It's starting to get wet, and once it starts coming together, you're going to want to take it all and kind of form it into a disc. We're going to shoot for around 9 inches, I believe. So, but as you'll find out, you don't really need it to be 9 inches. You're kind of looking more for less of length and more of thickness, and it depends on how thick you want your scones to be. If you really want some really thick scones, you make a much smaller disc, but if you want some normal size scones, you make a little bit wider of a disc. And if you want really thin scones, which I don't know why you would, but I'm sure someone out there really wants their scone to be extra thin, you just roll it out thinner and make your disc a little bit wider. So now that we have it into a ball, we're going to start slowly forming it. Just push it out with your palms. And the one thing I would say is as little contact as you can, and try to do this as quickly as possible. Because again, we really want that butter to stay whole all the way to the end until we put it into the oven. And so you're going to want to just kind of push it all together and start pushing it into a round. And let me measure it soon. So let me just grab oh, that one's got no measurements on it. This is a bench scraper that I'm grabbing, and it's got measurements on it for baking, and it's really useful for stuff like this. And I think I got this one at the dollar store, and honestly it's been most helpful tool in the kitchen to have. I do a lot of baking, and so having this tool around really helps with just moving it from from where I'm working to a sheet pan. And on top of that, it honestly just helps move stuff together and clean up too. So just push it out with your knuckles and with your palms, and just try to slowly push it out, but try not to break any of the blueberries. And let's see, I'm trying to get it to around 9 inches, so yeah, that's like 5, that's like 7-ish. Yeah, you know what, it's fine. Okay, so you're gonna take this and you're going to cut it into 8 triangles. Best way to do that is do half and then do half of those. And I'm just gonna score it real quick just so you get a sense of what we're gonna want, so you can get it all even. And now they're cut. So now that that's done, we're gonna transfer it to a sheet pan. And now that it's on a sheet pan, we're going to take these to the oven that we have preheated while the butter's still cold. And we're going to put it in the oven. And we're going to come back and check on it in 10 minutes and rotate them around so that we make sure there's no hot spots in our oven and they brown unevenly. And we're going to set it in there, 400. And we're going to set a timer for 20 minutes, but make sure you come and check back on it for 10. Alright, 10 minutes have passed, and we're going to rotate these around. I know it's kind of hard to see on camera, but you can tell in person that one of these sheets is browning faster than the other. So we're going to want to move the sheet pans around, and we'll let them bake the last 10 minutes. Okay, now while this is happening, we're going to make a nice lemon drizzle for it. We're going to take a half a cup of powdered sugar, and it's in that bowl already. It's just my camera does not want to focus today. We're going to take this and we're going to get some lemon juice out of it. We're going to need about a tablespoon of lemon juice for this, and for that half cup of powdered sugar, you're just going to add it in. And then you're just going to whisk it all together until it becomes a drizzle. And the nice thing about this is you can use something else. So if you don't want to use a lemon drizzle on this, which I do recommend because it does help in the end make it taste better, but if you wanted to make any kind of drizzle, you could add vanilla extract, you could add anything to powdered sugar, and it will make a drizzle, which is quite nice. As you can see, it's kind of hard to see, but I'm trying to show that the liquid's there. Alright, so now the scones are done, we're going to take them out. And they are looking good. They got some browning on them, and you can tell that they poofed up quite a bit, and the butter did help flake them out. It's kind of hard to see now, but later when you crack them open, you'll know that the butter did its job, but there's all those little layers. Alright, so now that we've got them all plated up and they've cooled, we set them aside, and we can add our drizzle to it. Definitely you should eat these with some friends. You can have them for breakfast, as a snack, quick to go, something to eat. They're definitely like a dessert, less of a healthy go-to food, but if this is what you're looking for, it's definitely really good. So yeah, thanks for coming along and making this with me. Hopefully you figured it out, and hopefully it wasn't too hard. I have a lot of fun making this stuff, and I hope you do too. Definitely include some friends and family. Make sure you hit the thumbs up and subscribe, hit the bell notification, and leave a comment down below and suggestions for the next video. Peace out.